we've talked about this before with, and this is pretty evident. I don't think we have to have this conversation, but we know how Hollywood is failing. We've seen the decline for some time now. But it seems like, and I think most people, if you sit back and you talk to them, you'll see a decline right around the time they started blacklisting Republicans, conservatives, Christians, people that were just against their little bubble, that weren't in the inclusivity squad, which is weird because then they're excluding people, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So we know that Hollywood is taking a dive. And we talked earlier about what Jon Stewart was saying about pride and how they pander and they care more about profit than they do about messaging. And we know that's not necessarily the case when it comes to Disney and some of these other brands that are out there pushing their woke agenda, pushing their messaging, and they don't care about the millions and millions they're losing. So what are they doing? They're not hiring directors and producers. They're casting them. They're casting them because of the color of their skin, who they want to sleep with, what they have between their legs, or whatever. They're being casted, much like some of the people that work in the Biden administration. They're not qualified to be there, but they're casted there because they have to check those diversity and inclusion boxes, right? Well, we know that's been going on in Hollywood for a while, and they want to do all this race swap, gender swap. This is a female-led movie by a female director, a trans this and that as the hero, and whatever. They got to check as many boxes as they can, and we've seen a failure. Not only that, but in doing so, they've intentionally been proactive in removing conservatives, Republicans, Christians, anyone who has a different ideology. Now, there's some people that haven't been completely removed, like a Tim Allen or Mel Gibson, but they certainly aren't getting the jobs like they used to. Mel probably ran off at the mouth a little bit too much at one time on that phone call, answer machine, voicemail, whatever, and got in a little trouble on that one. But you guys get my point. So, this leads me to this story here. We're not going to go into the article. We're going to watch a little clip that I cut up of the interview. But Dennis Quaid says weaponization of the justice system pushed him to vote Trump. He's my a-hole. So we're going to take a look real quick at that. And this was when he was on, this article's from New York Post. Again, I'll leave that in the link below, in the show notes below, so you can go check it out. It's basically just saying everything that you're about to hear. But this was on Piers Morgan Uncensored, which is becoming a really big show. And they've hosted folks like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and all kinds of folks. I can't remember who now, but a lot of like YouTuber folks been hosting them there and getting their perspectives and stuff. So really love to see what Pierce and them are doing on that show. And this is a clip, and kind of cut it up a little bit for time to get the highlights of what Dennis Quaid was saying when he was there.
What do you think of Trump?
I myself, I think I think I'm going to vote for him.
Really?
Yeah, in the next election. Yes, I am.
Are you ready for the blowback?
Well, yeah.
If inevitably comes.
Well,
with Trump?
I think this election, everybody's got to. I think they're going to take a side or whatever. But it just seems to me, it just makes sense. More than politics, I see a weaponization of our justice system.
Yeah.
And a challenge to our Constitution.
Do you have to like Trump to vote for him?
No. People might call him an asshole, but he's my asshole.
Right. No, I get that.
Because he's. I'll tell you one true thing about him is that I really feel that he is working for the American people. Mm. That's what he's all about. And I do believe that to be true and sincere. And now I'm really going to get some blowback.
All right, again, that was Dennis Quaid over on Piers Morgan Uncensored, talking about Trump. He did go into Biden a little bit at the end there. He was asked about Biden, and, he said he doesn't feel like he's all there, which is what most people think. And what's sad is the sentiments that he shared are very common among most voters. Black, white, Republican, Democrat, Northern, Southerner, West Coaster, or whatever, It's very, very similar views across the board. But in Hollywood, and you heard Pierce said, "Are you ready for the blowback from saying that you're going to vote for Trump?" And then at the end, Dennis was like, "I know I'm going to get a lot of blowback for this." It's sad that again, in a town and in an industry where they push all this inclusion and equity and diversity and everything, they will out you, blacklist you, cancel you, or whatever if you don't buy in to a very, very specific, very, very narrow mind frame that Biden's economy is great. Biden can do no wrong. He never slurs his words. I mean, you have to believe in stuff that's not real. Much like a man can be a woman or a woman can be a man, stuff like that. But I pulled up an article, kind of goes into this a little bit. This is from The Hill, and this is an older article. I just randomly pulled this one up. But what I was noticing when I pulled it up is who the author was, Christian Toto. And you guys have heard me mention Christian several times. Christian Toto runs Hollywood in Toto. And Christian's on Twitter/X. He's got his website, which is fantastic with tons of articles. Everyone utilizes his articles, references him and his team all the time, and they do great work over there. And he's done a podcast before, but now he has like a video podcast. Now he's got the video portion of it up. I'm going to leave a link to all that stuff down in the show notes below, because I hope more people will go out and support Christian and his team over at Hollywood and Toto, because they really are doing a fantastic job. And we need more voices like that out there to really go against this crazy echo chamber of, this one size fits all Hollywood kind of mentality. Like, you have to believe this and you got to believe that. And things are going great. Well, they're not. And Christian calls them out. And so does, anyone else on his team. I'm sorry, I don't know all the team there, but when he's like, make a good movie, Hollywood says,
put a ticket in, make a living gay.
Basically. So let's check this out. Again, this is an older article. And again, I didn't realize it was by Christian until I got ready for the show here. So again, kudos to you, Christian. But from The Hill, where he was contributing at the time, hooray for Hollywood unless you're conservative. And of course, you got some faces here that are familiar. Let's see. Hollywood's obsession with the 1950s era blacklist shows little sign of waning. We've already seen Good Night and Good Luck, The Front, Guilty by Suspicion, Yoo-Hoo, Mrs. Goldberg, The Majestic, and 2 films based on the life of blacklisted screenwriter Dalton Trumbo. Chicago's Steppenwolf Theater Company will host the world premiere adaptation of George Clooney's Good Night and Good Luck starting in October. Again, remember, this was from 2020. The film industry's connection to that chapter in history makes sense. It's an un-American for artists to lose work, let alone face incarceration for their political beliefs, or as was often the case at the time, were mere rumors of subversive beliefs. And yet Hollywood Inc. ignores a similar brand of blacklist, one that grows darker, more powerful in the age of Trump. Actors Antonio Sabato Jr. told Variety earlier this month that his public embrace of then-candidate Donald Trump effectively ended his acting career. I had to sell everything. I had to pay all my debts. I was blacklisted. All my representatives left me, from agents to managers to commercial agents. I literally had to move, find a new job to survive, and take care of my kids. It's been terrible. It's mind-blowing. It's a disgrace. It's tough, because if you're in the environment in Hollywood and you have something to say that they don't like, they're going to let you know. Again, this kind of goes back to that other conversation about they don't just care about profitability, they care about their messaging. And they are doing an effective job of creating that echo chamber, of creating, nothing but social justice warriors and virtue signaling in their projects, and basically eliminating and excluding any kind of opinion or thought that may go against the grain. Sabato's story, assuming it's true, is far from an isolated incident, and it started before he unsuccessfully ran as a Republican for a California congressional seat in 2018, and well before a brash real estate mogul commandeered the GOP. The director of 2016 Obama's America, a documentary highly critical. Sorry guys, Christian's writing is great, but the thing is, I don't talk great. I'm a redneck from Georgia who can barely see, hear, and read. You're watching me. What does that say about you? I love you, though. The director 2016 Obama's America documentary, highly critical of the 44th president, told me that some crew members worked under pseudonyms for fear of career reprisals. A secretive group of conservative stars huddling under the Friends of Abe banner met around Hollywood for years to network and commiserate. They understood that being openly conservative could invite trouble. It almost sounds like being openly gay back in the day, doesn't it? That politically charged threat only intensified in the Trump era. Here's the Hollywood Reporter noting how show business conservatives approached Trump's 2016 campaign. While the Hollywood Reporter spoke to dozens of Trump supporters, few wished to announce their support, citing their desire to avoid backlash from coworkers. One makeup artist, for example, says longtime clients stopped hiring her after learning she was a Republican. Outspoken conservative actor James Woods, who I follow on Twitter, and I'm never disappointed by a tweet, by the way, and I'm a fan of his work. I love me some James Woods. Outspoken conservative, where did you go, buddy? Conservative actor James Woods showed how his own agent cut ties with him for purely political reasons. It's the 4th of July, and I'm feeling patriotic. I don't want to represent you anymore. I mean, I could go on a rant, but you know what I'd say. Tim Allen joked to Jimmy Kimmel Live in 2017 that being conservative in Hollywood wasn't easy. You get beat up if you don't believe what everybody believes. This is like 30s Germany, the veteran comic cracked. ABC canceled Allen's popular Last Man Standing show less than 2 months later despite hearty ratings. Fox eventually snagged the sitcom, which still draws a sizable crowd. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was their highest rated show that was airing at the time, and they canceled it. Again, didn't care about profits, cared about agenda, cared about elimination of anything that might be pushing back against it. Former Home Improvement alum Zachary Ty Bryan told Fox and Friends 2 years ago that conservative stars aren't as rare as people may think. They just stay anonymous, he said, to avoid blowback. Actress Julianne Davis of Eyes Wide Shut fame told Fox News in 2017 that coming out as a conservative cost her personally and professionally. The written and very public insults from Hollywood peers on social media and elsewhere have been numerous, she said. I've been attacked with obscenities, called a racist, and had one person tell me he hoped I would die. That's the loving party of the liberal left. Openly conservative comedian Steve McGrew once enjoyed a professional connection to Brad Garrett, the Everybody Loves Raymond alum who owns a Las Vegas comedy club where McGrew played each year. That ended when Garrett, citing McGrew's pro-MAGA social media messaging, cut ties with his fellow comic. What a piece of garbage that guy is. Who did what? Brad Garrett. What a piece of trash. More recently, Will and Grace stars Deborah Messing and Aaron McCormick publicly said they wouldn't work with any Trump donors. Here's McCormick's tweet on news of a Hollywood-based fundraiser for Trump. Hey, at the Hollywood Reporter, kindly report on everyone attending this event so the rest of us can be clear about who we don't want to work with. Thanks. The star subsequently backpedaled from the pledge when even liberal View host Whoopi Goldberg slammed that thinking. Well, when does she know about thinking? I've spoken to several other artists, including some whom readers would instantly recognize who asked not to have their right-leaning views made public for fear of reprisals. I can't remember how long this thing goes on, but I'm not going to keep reading it. We're done with that guy right there. So, we've known that for a while. Like, if you're conservative in Hollywood, you can't come out. It's almost like being gay or being black or whatever back in the day. Like, it's something to be embarrassed of, ashamed of, and you'll be outed and ridiculed and mocked and even death threats just because you politically align with somebody. That's where we are. But, everyone's going to point to January 6th. January 6th. Oh my God, January 6th. Worst day ever, January 6th. It wasn't that bad. And that's like the only thing that they can point to. Look at all the chaos, lives lost, laws broken by the loving liberal left. I should coin that. that want to be inclusive. They want to be loving. They say that the right is full of haters, that Trump is a hateful person. He's evil. I didn't see people getting beat up for being an Obama supporter, a Biden supporter, a Clinton supporter. But I remember seeing young kids getting their red MAGA hats knocked off their head by grown folk. I remember somebody saying at one point in time, hey, we got a Trump supporter over here, a MAGA over here, and shot and killed the guy. We can play games all day long. I guarantee you, I got more examples than you do of the left being the ones that are hateful and sadistic, really, not the right. And then it's funny to me that the right is the racist when, of course, we know the KKK is of the Democrat Party. And in fact, I can go on a deep dive of how the Democrats haven't really changed that much, and they're still incredibly racist. They're incredibly racist and they're incredibly sexist. But they market it differently now, so you actually don't know. Unless you know. I mean, if you know, you know. You know exactly what I'm saying. But they market it well. They hide it well. They tuck that tail a little bit there. But yeah, I don't think anyone's surprised that the party that pushes the inclusion and acceptance are the first to force out anyone that they deem unworthy. And again, this goes back to, what are you willing to do to cut your enemies out? People you disagree with, people you don't meet up eye to eye and see eye to eye and want to agree with. You want to kick them out of Hollywood. You don't want to work with them anymore. You know how many good people aren't working in Hollywood anymore? How many big names aren't working in Hollywood? You know how many people are flying under the radar out there just praying to God that no one figures out they worship Jesus Christ or are a conservative? Heaven forbid. There's only a handful that are still out there, killing it. Chris Pratt's one. I don't know about his political leanings, but, I know he's a Christian. But he's doing very well. But there's not a very long list that I can give you of folks that are conservative and or Christian that have successful careers in Hollywood right now. So, yeah, it's stupid. But that's what they're doing. That's why a lot of them don't get my support anymore. And I want to be a filmmaker. Already an internationally award-winning filmmaker, just throwing that out there. But yeah, I don't want to play their game. Not going to play their game.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.